What is up, guys, and welcome to the Meeple Minded podcast, the podcast where we talk all things tabletop gaming. My name is Jason.
And I'm James.
How are you doing this week, James?
I'm good.
Good. Can you believe I'm as awake as I am?
No.
It's slap bang in the middle of the championships, as I said I was doing last week. And yeah, I'm actually awake.
Yeah.
It's been an okay day. The past couple haven't been great, but you know, I'm a bit more awake today, so
Good.
Chipper.
Chipper.
How I felt. Chipper.
Chipper. Did you get some strawberries and cream? Is that why you're chipper?
I may have had some strawberries and cream today.
Yeah, see, that's why.
Yeah, it probably is why. Well, one of the bosses does actually listen to this show, so there you go. A little hint. If you want us to be in a good mood, strawberries and cream.
Yes.
But with sugar, obviously. You've got to have sugar on it as well.
Yeah.
But that's enough about my work. What about you, James? How's your work been?
Standard,
yeah. Not got much time to yourself. Feel like you're working yourself to the bone.
No, well, I kind of like you. I think I had not a relaxed day, but not a, oh my God, I'm going to keel over and die kind of day.
Well, I mean, the fact that it hasn't been scorchingly hot has probably helped for the past few days.
Yeah, that's coming back.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. Sorry, not looking forward to. No,
we're looking forward to that on the days we're not working.
I mean, I'm a fat guy. I don't like any kind of heat. You know, if I could live in the ice, I think then I might be a happy man. But then... No,
Jason, you are British, therefore you would immediately start complaining that it's too cold, because we are never happy.
Very, very true. Very, very true. Although, you know, if it's freezing cold, I wouldn't have much choice other than to have a stiff upper lip, though. Because it would have frozen in.
When it's hot, we want it to be cold. When it's cold, we want it to be hot. When it's dry, we want it to be wet. And when it's raining, we want it to be dry. Yeah. We are never happy.
No, exactly. And I think being British, that is our birthright.
Yeah, and sometimes we get all 4 seasons in one day, and then we really moan.
Yes, yeah. I mean, they really are the special days, aren't they? We get a couple of them every year. Yeah. Never good. Snow in the morning, sunshine in the afternoon, absolutely peeing down in the evening, and then bone dry and scorchingly horrid and humid at night.
Yep.
Perfect day. But yes, weather and British.
Yes.
There you go. That's what you get here. But, James, games. We had a game night this week, despite the fact that I was half asleep.
We did.
And we got to try a brand new game.
We did.
The Hotness.
It
was one of the Hotness, James. What did we play?
We played Earth.
We did indeed. Finally, having got that achievement of having me get up early to go into Expo to get it, we finally played it. How did you find it? First impressions?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I know your first impressions when learning the game weren't quite so, I'm going to enjoy this.
It's... You and I both said the same things at separate points to Paul, who we were playing it with. Very reminiscent of Ark Nova in the fact that the first couple of turns... I would say it was actually an easier learn than Ark Nova was.
Yeah.
But the first couple of turns really were, I'm just going through the motions. I don't really know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I would say around the third or fourth round was when it started to go, yeah, I'm getting this.
Yeah. And, yeah, well, basically what you're saying, when we first played Ark Nova, we weren't fans, you know, and I really didn't understand where the hype was coming from. We replayed it. It was a little bit better, but still was a bit, not really sure.
Yeah.
It was like the third or the fourth time that we were just, now I get it. Whereas with this game, like you said, it was a bit quicker in the sense of halfway through the first game, we're like, oh.
Yeah, I see what I'm doing.
Now I see.
It's just one of those games where it's what I describe as very busy. There's a lot going on, and the first couple of turns you are just a bit like, I've got like the basic gist of it, but I don't know how this is all coming together and what I'm actually supposed to really be aiming for.
Yeah. And again, multiple paths to victory. I mean, not even just multiple. It's like ridiculous amounts of paths to victory. You know, the score.
Yeah.
Scoring for this, scoring for that, scoring for that. I'm scoring points because James has got water droplets.
Yeah.
Or the most water droplets, so I'm going to pick James. I'm going to score because of that. And it's just a sort of lot of wow, there is a lot going on. I'm trying to focus on my board, but there are actually cards on my board or on my tableau that require me to keep an eye on what other people's boards are going on. So there is a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot going on. And this is definitely a game that I think my partner would like to try it. I don't think she'd get on with it because if you think that, she was saying that First Rat just seems like it's got a bit too much going on.
Yeah.
This has got a lot more to learn about. But once you have learnt it, it's really easy because it's build a tableau, someone do an action, fire off your tableau for that colour, and also, James, another thing in this game is it's another one of those games that there are things going on in other people's turns.
Yes.
Which I liked.
Yeah.
I did like that because, again, it kept my interest quite high. What about you?
I would agree with that. I think the downtime, if there wasn't that, whatever main thing that I pick, you all get to do something on it. If that wasn't there, the downtime would actually be a big negative for this game.
Yeah. But, I mean, we had a little bit of a discussion afterwards, after Paul had left, and sort of discussing a few things, because that was something that we discussed about, is that at times it was a bit chaotic with everyone doing stuff at the same time. And there was a point where multiple people scored on a points track at the same time.
And it's technically supposed to be whoever gets there first.
Yeah, and you sort of happened to do your stuff sooner.
Yeah.
You done it quicker because Paul was busy helping me do something. And then, of course, Paul then scored on that track. And it was like, well, hang on a minute. Who gets the higher points value here?
I said this at the end of the game. It's like, because obviously you and I didn't get a good butch at the rule book. And it may well be actually explained somewhere in the rule book.
I'm guessing it's, active player and then clockwise.
Well, so either that or it's going to turn around and say, or if it doesn't specify in that sort of regard, because it just seems to be a whoever gets there first kind of thing, it's almost like you need a quote-unquote house rule there to say, right, everyone does the top section of the board and waits. Once everyone's done that, everyone fires the tableau.
Yeah.
And then waits. And once everyone's fired the tableau, or even you could do both of those, but you halt at that point and then go, right, last thing before we move on, victory check.
Yeah. Has
anyone hit any of the achievements?
Yeah.
If so, what order? Because it would seem to me that the order would go active player clockwise.
Yes. Yeah. That's how I would say it would be. But yeah, like you said, until I really, despite the fact it was my game, Paul had already played it, so he was able to run the teach for us. So I now need to find time to sit down and actually read the rulebook and pick out the finer points of the rulebook. I
mean, to me, to keep that downtime down, I think it would just be you stop short of the checking for endgame points section until everyone else has fired off their tableau.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing in there that tells you to immediately add something to that final score, so it wouldn't affect anything. It keeps the downtime down, and it is that sort of, right, before we move to the next player's turn, has anyone hit a victory condition?
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean...
And it also reminds you to actually check, because I think I hit quite a few of those victory conditions a couple of turns before, and there was so much going on. It's like, oh, hang on a minute, I've actually got 7 of those.
You've got so engrossed in your own tableau and making sure that you're activating everything on your tableau that you sort of may overlook it. And like, I think one of the ones we had was how many cards are in your compost pile. Well, short of every time I forget having to recount my compost pile, it was just a bit...
Yeah. I found that was quite easy to keep track because that's the first one I hit, but I wasn't really counting it, and then I sort of noticed the card and went, oh yeah, I should probably count that.
Yeah.
Once I had the count, that was actually easy to keep track of, but it required me to actually pick them on. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got 6 in there.
Yeah, exactly.
There are a lot of nuances that, on a second playthrough, I think will make the game that much more enjoyable. A big one that I brought out at the end was I didn't realise that every card in the compost pile at the end of the game is worth 1 victory point.
Yeah.
Because it got to about, I would say, four turns before the end of the game, as the game was wrapping up, where I'd hit that end game achievement of you have to have at least 15.
Yeah.
Because I was the first one to get there, so I got max points for that. After that, I was just sort of like, well, thinking to myself, well, I don't need to bin cards in there, really. Had I known they were worth 1 victory point at the end, I probably would have, if I had nothing else to do, gone, right, bin some cards. Yeah. Bin some cards.
I mean, arguably, I knew that they were worth something because Paul did mention it in the teach.
Yeah.
So, no shades on Paul. He did mention it. However, that's where what we're talking about, this busy work going on, there was so much to absorb of these different scoring tracks in that teach that it's quite easy for you to have overlooked the fact that Paul did tell you. Whereas that was one of the few things I did pick up on. So, yeah.
Yeah, I missed that. I must have missed that bit then.
Yeah, he definitely said it, but again, it's like the cubes.
Yeah.
It's just remembering that the cubes are indeed worth a point as well, and the cards in your compost pile are worth it. But I was kind of the same. I had to make a decision towards the end there where I was like, well, I've got a lot of space for cubes, and I think I can score more in cubes if I'm using my abilities to sack off compost cards.
Yeah.
To get those cubes. So that was the avenue that I went. But it was very, very close.
Oh, yeah. It was like 14 points between
all of us. Between loser and winner. Yeah, which was really, really good. And I think you two came first and second by one point, which was nice and close.
Yeah. I still don't know how I managed to achieve that.
I'm not really sure. I had a rough idea of what, because I like to try and figure out what points people are currently going for throughout the game. And I was.
If you worked out what I was doing, Jason, well done, because I didn't know what I was doing.
I wouldn't say I was working out what you were doing. I just was working out what points you had coming from what I could see. But obviously, certain things that you can't see. So there you go. Earth. I think first impressions, we're both pretty high on this. I think we are definitely going to be playing it again very soon.
Yes.
Hopefully the next one will run a bit quicker because this one with the teach took about 2.5 hours, I think, which seems very long for that game when it's recommended 45 to 90 minutes. So we did stop a couple of times, I guess.
Yeah, there
wasn't too much in there that would have drawn it out.
Yeah, there were clarification points quite a lot because like you said, it's a very involved, busy game where there's a lot going on, and you sort of like, as your first playthrough, you are just sort of like, there were quite a few times where I was turning around to Paul, even though we're technically competing, go, right, just watch me do this and make sure I don't do it wrong, because I think I know what I'm doing. Yeah,
exactly. So we'll get that to the table again very, very soon. I'm sure that's going to be one we will want to do an episode about.
Oh, yes.
When the time comes. But it's the only game we have really played this week, because obviously I am doing extended hours at work. We don't really have much time going on. So let's talk about the game we played last year, James. Now, I'm interested to hear your opinions on this one and to whether you even remember the game.
Okay.
Because we haven't played it since. Or at least I know I haven't, so I'm assuming you haven't. Because we played Jamaica this time last year. Now, do you remember Jamaica?
Was that the one with the pirate ships?
It was. Yes.
I won it, if I remember correctly.
You did?
Yay! That's why I remember it.
You did indeed win it.
I have not played it since.
So neither of us have played this again since. And before I say anything about it, James, what are your memories of the game? How do you feel about it a year on?
I will be brutally honest, I can't remember much about it other than it's the one where you're racing the pirate ships around the island.
Basically, yeah. Collecting treasure as you go around, and I guess you can fight others as you go around it.
Yeah, I do remember, like, if you battle someone and win, don't they get knocked back or something along those lines?
Do you know what? This is the thing, because it's been that long. I genuinely can't remember that much of it. I know you get to steal some stuff from what I remember. Yeah, because it's like the cargo's sectioned off, isn't it? And you get to pick a section. It's like, I'm having all of that. Something like that. And then the whole moving back thing is if you land on a space where you need to pay a docking fee or something and you can't pay it, then you get knocked back until
there's
it's a free space.
I do remember there was something to do with fighting and getting knocked back, because I think that's how I won, because I knocked you backwards.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I genuinely can't remember. It's been that long. I mean, it's interesting because I know I spoke very highly of this actually on the episode, and I don't think I was wrong in how I felt about it at the time. The truth is, though, a year on, I don't miss it.
No,
it's not in my collection. I don't feel any kind of desire to have it in my collection. Yet, like I said, if someone put it on the table and said, "Do you want to play it?"
Yeah,
it would be one of those, like, if there's nothing else going on, yeah, all right, I'll play it. But
It's just because it's not in the collection doesn't make it a bad game. I would argue that it has to be something special or something has to really hook you for it to end up in the collection, because at the end of the day, you're parting with money to own it.
Yeah.
So it's not a mark against the game if you go, well, it's not really my thing, or is this really going to see the table all that often?
Yeah. It was one of those, like, because, I mean, the main reason I never owned it is because at the time we had our friendly local game store who had the games library, and it was in the games library. We could play it whenever we wanted.
Yeah.
When the store closed, it wasn't one of the games that went in my mind of, oh, now I need to make a decision. Do I want to own it?
Yeah.
On the Underground was one of them. I originally had that game. I sold it because they had it in the comic shop, and now the comic shop's gone. And I'm like, do you know what I miss on the Underground? Scythe was another one.
Yeah.
There's quite a few. Wingspan, another one. Games that I enjoy playing but don't own, and now I'm like, I kind of don't really have that option anymore. Do I really want to own them? And yeah, Jamaica wasn't one of those that made that list.
Yeah, I get it. I think Jamaica, from what I remember it as well, it's very, what made it fun. I'm going to say this, knowing full well that I can't actually remember who we played it with, but it was that kind of game where it's like, I think it was boosted by the people we were playing with because we were having a good laugh while playing it.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. But yeah, I mean, this one is a tough one to ask. But James, a year on, thumbs up or thumbs down?
From the limited memories that I have of it, I'm still going to give it a thumbs up because I do have positive memories of it. They're not very many of them, but they are positive.
Okay. I am actually going to come in and be the first time to say I'm giving it a thumbs down. I have rather fallen out of love with the game. I have no desire to play it really, and I would only be playing it if there was nothing else going on. So yeah, first time for me that I've actually now saying a game is now a thumbs down. There you go. It's a first.
Oh, first.
Bet you weren't expecting that, were you?
I wasn't, to be honest.
Especially as I used to rave about that game quite a bit. But yeah, that is the game we played last year, Jamaica. Maybe we'll play it again very soon. Maybe I'll change my opinion again, but who really knows? It is time for our main event here, James. Are you ready?
Yes.
Then let's do it. Okie dokie, guys. So, you will have seen the title. On this one, we are talking about Unmatched Battle of Legends Volume 1. Now, this is going to be an interesting one, James, because we wax lyrical quite a bit about the Unmatched game system, don't we? We're pretty vocal about the fact that we really do like this game.
Yeah.
So, in the interest of fairness, we can just say it right now. If you're here for an honest opinion about whether we recommend the game, I know I personally recommend this game.
We thoroughly endorse and recommend this game.
Indeed. So, this game highlight, James, is going to be a little bit different.
We're going to do it another way.
We're going to do it another way. This is going to be like a little mini-series, I guess, because every time we're going to talk about Unmatched, it's obvious. We're going to be saying, yes, we recommend it. So instead, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the individual characters that come within the game and how we feel they play, whether we enjoy playing them and stuff like that. And then right at the end of the little mini-series, once we've been through all of the current sets that are not Marvel, because no one wants more Marvel in their games, we will go through all of the current available sets, and if another one comes out before we finish the end of the series, that will also be included. At the very end, we will do a culmination episode, James, where we can sit down and rank our personal favourites from best to worst. How does that sound?
That sounds good.
It does. I think it does.
Yeah, just because you came up with the idea.
Of course, which means it was a good idea, obviously. So, that being said, James, we're talking about Battle of Legends, Volume 1. What comes in the box?
Jason, contained within the box, you have 4 hero miniatures, 120 action cards, 7 health dials, 4 character cards, 6 sidekick tokens, and 1 double-sided board with 2 battlefields.
Excelente. So this is a 4-character set.
It is.
Unmatched characters. We've obviously talked about one in the past, which was the Dr. Sattler versus T-Rex
Yes.
Unmatched set, which was my very first set. And we will be talking about the other Jurassic Park set within this little mini series.
Indeed, we will.
Which I'm looking forward to, I must admit. But so they come in different size packs. You've got the four character packs. You've got the 2 character packs, and then ones that we also won't be covering because they're rare as rocking horse doody are the single character sets, which is Deadpool and Bruce Lee. They ain't ever going to make it to my collection because I refuse to pay £150 for a single character. So, yeah, James, components. This will be a nice quick one because, again, they're all kind of the same.
Yeah.
But I think it is fair to mention at this point we do have a lot of American listeners. We are obviously based in the UK. So our games are a combination of Restoration Games and, is it Mondo Games, I believe? And it's Mondo that do the production for us here in Europe. In the States, it's done solely by Restoration Games. And there are minimal differences, and the only thing I've really seen different is the psychic tokens. I would say the Restoration ones feel a little bit more cheap, and they don't have those nice rounded edges. Other than that, they're pretty much spot on exactly the same. Just very quickly, James, how do you feel about the components that do come within the Unmatched games?
Let's start with the obvious, that the miniatures are gorgeous.
They are. I would put my neck out and say they're some of the best miniatures in the board game market for certain. You know, they're not as detailed as something like a Games Workshop miniature, but yeah, I'm well happy with them.
I am, and I'm going to say I really like the aesthetic of just the black wash.
Yeah, just to bring out the details of the grey plastic, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I actually really like that about them. It's almost like a monochrome.
Yeah. And, you know, it's not going to be something we'll really talk about, but I've got a couple of custom characters that I've made.
Yep.
Had them 3D printed, with resin, and sprayed them grey and then coloured them in there in a black wash, and they're almost identical, yet the detail just shows right through. And again, you can look at them and go, I know instantly who that is.
Yep.
It's really, really good. I think it's quite a nice aesthetic. I know a lot of people do like to paint their miniatures, and it would look kind of cool in this game if all these miniatures were painted, but you know what? I'm happy as they are.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so the miniatures are great. The card stock is standard. I know all yours are sleeved, which you must have spent a small fortune sleeving them all.
Slightly.
But yeah, I like the fact that the text is nice and legible. The character cards are double-sided, so you've got the individual character information on one side and the actual turn anatomy on the other side, which is nice to hand. It doubles as a reference card. All you got to do is flip it over.
Exactly. Yep.
Everything is clear on the cards, and the same with the actual cards that you play. The symbology is nice and simple, very easy to get your head round. Nice bold text for you to be able to read. Yeah, they're just functional.
Excellent. Yeah, and it's one of the things that we've always ranted and raved about when it comes to the Unmatched system is it is a very simple game system.
Yeah,
that pretty much anyone can pick up and play.
Yeah,
it's pretty damn close to Gateway, but it's damn fun.
Yep,
damn fun.
Yeah, the health dials are standard punchboard rotaries. Anyone who's had any experience of a game like X-Wing will know exactly what these rotary dials look like. They're exactly the same for your health tokens. The psychic tokens, like you said, there is a little bit of a difference between the ones produced by the European manufacturer and the American one, but other than that, they're pretty much the same.
Yeah, exactly.
The boards are probably where I would have a little bit of a, not so much a negative, but an understandable sort of point is they're sort of split into like zones.
Yes,
there are little circles joined by lines on the board, and they're color coded, which immediately puts anyone who's got difficulty seeing color at a real disadvantage.
I would agree to a level. The color side of it, yes, 100%. The actual filled in boards do have different patterns on them, so that's another way of knowing. However, it's not something we'll talk about particularly in this episode, but it is a fair thing to bring up. In later editions, they started doing away with the filled in artwork behind it so that you literally just had a coloured ring around where the character would stand so that you could see the artwork in the background. By doing that, you are literally removing the one thing that colourblind people will be using in order to know which zone they're in. So that's a much later thing. This one that we're talking about, James, does have those filled in circles. So there is a way, but I also understand where you're coming from.
Denoting the board by colour is a bit of a... especially the ones where it's not even a single colour. It's like some of them are split in two.
Of course, or three.
Or three.
Yeah, exactly. So anything else about the components, James?
I think that finishes the components. Mostly positive. Little bit of a negative on the boards, but other than that, it's perfectly serviceable.
Nice. Very nice. Let's talk about gameplay, James.
Gameplay.
And when we're talking about gameplay, we all know how the game plays because we've talked about it in the previous episode, so we won't go into that too much. Let's talk about the characters, James.
The characters.
There's 4 characters in here.
There are.
I think, seeing as though, one, it's already in your hand, but I think it would be rude not to start with the nobility of this set, which is, of course, King Arthur.
Indeed.
So, James, let's talk about King Arthur. What do you like and dislike about King Arthur in this one?
King Arthur's a bit of an interesting character. Obviously, he's got a sidekick, which is Merlin.
Indeed, yeah.
And his thing is all about boosting.
Yeah, and he's got that extra boost, hasn't he? Because, obviously, in standard characters, you can boost your movement, but King Arthur, as the brutal badass that he is, can boost most of his attacks, if not all.
That is, he can boost all of his attacks.
Yeah, I mean,
when King Arthur attacks, you may boost that attack. Play the boost card face down along with your attack card. If your opponent cancels the effect on your attack card, the boost is discarded without effect.
Oh, dirty.
So yeah, he can literally boost all of his cards.
Yeah, which is hard because he is a hard-hitting character. He's got some power behind him.
Yep.
I mean, let's just address the elephant in the room. Excalibur.
Yes.
To start with, 6 damage as base without a boost. That's filth in this set. And he's also the most health-filled character in the game at 18 health. Merlin is the most health-filled psychic in the game with 7 health. He's like, on surface level, King Arthur looks like he is the MVP of this set.
He is. He's offset or balanced by the fact that he's slow.
Very slow. And that's one of the things it kind of makes... It's really weird because we're talking about how powerful he is. I'd argue that he's probably, annoyingly, one of the worst in the set.
Yeah, because he's one of those ones you need to stay away from.
Yeah. Much like the T-Rex was in the... Dr. Sattler T-Rex one. You just kept running away from it. It was just having to burn through cards trying to catch up with you. And, King Arthur has a standard move, so it's not so bad that. But he's burning through his own deck, boosting his attacks if he gets near you. And if you keep running away from him, he's going to have to keep boosting to try and keep up with you.
Yeah, I think that's offset, though, because there's only really... Merlin's a ranged character. There's only one other ranged character in this set. So it is that sort of thing of the rest of them kind of have to come at him. Yeah.
Would you say the deck for Merlin and King Arthur is quite well balanced, though, between Merlin and King Arthur?
It's that one of the things that makes King Arthur, I think, not the worst character in this set.
Okay.
Arguing that I haven't played one of the characters.
Okay.
Is the fact that you've got that melee ranged in one deck.
Yeah.
So they truly complement each other.
Yeah. Okay. That's fair enough.
That you can almost have King Arthur attempting to go in and actually being the heavy hitter, and Merlin can just dart around the outside and effectively snipe people.
Yeah. And because that's the thing, that with the board that comes in this one, the zones themselves are actually quite sizable.
Yes.
Whereas in some of the boards, like, zones can be as small as 2 spaces.
Yeah.
Whereas they're all quite big in this, which means, you don't have to get close with Merlin to be able to start just, chucking a few ranged attacks in there.
Yeah, it's for those who don't know, ranged attacks you have to be in a shared zone.
Yes. Yep.
Whereas a melee character, you have to be adjacent.
Yeah. And some of these characters actually become... I'd argue that ranged characters become more deadly with some of the later maps, because a lot of them will be long and thin.
Yeah.
So the player could be the other end of the board.
And you can still hit them.
But if you're in the same zone, you're still going to hit them. So, yeah, there you go. That's the first character in this pack, James.
Yep.
I'll let you pick the second one. Who do you want to talk about next?
Oh, let's talk about the one that I haven't played.
You want to talk about Sinbad, don't you?
Yes.
Now, I have played Sinbad
You have played.
Quite a few times. Sinbad and the Porter is the character combination here. Now, Sinbad has a starting health of 15. The Porter has a starting health of 6. So we're already on the back foot when it comes to King Arthur. He also has a move of 2. But his special ability here, James, is what makes him, in my opinion, one of the most underrated or underused characters in the entire game. Because his ability is when you maneuver, which you're going to be doing all the time, you may move your fighters +1 space for each voyage card that you have in your discard pile. Now, the voyage cards are what makes this character, because there's quite a few of them in the game. And I'm just literally going through the deck now, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 voyage cards within this deck. They're all attack cards. So when you're starting to do this, and you're going to be throwing attacks with these, they're going to start building up in your discard pile. And we'll pick this one, Voyage to the Valley of the Giant Snakes. To read its card text, James, it only does 2 damage as base, but during combat, this card value is +1 for each other voyage card in your discard pile. Now, I've played 5 cards, which means this base value is now 7. And then after combat, I get to look at my opponent's hand. That's just 1 card. Other ones, after combat, draw 1. There's one in here which is absolute filth, which is after combat, put all your voyage cards back in your hand, which means you get all of those back to start that lovely process again. Disgusting.
Yes.
Utterly disgusting. And you got to think, all of those, again, each one of those that's in the discard pile, +1 to his movement. He can fly across the board later in the game. And I love the way he plays. Now, don't get me wrong, he doesn't have any big Excalibur level cards. You know, he's not going to be doing 6 damage with a single card. You know, his highest one here is 5. It's 5 damage. And there's only one of those in the game, but he doesn't do much else. All the rest of them are sort of 2s, maybe 3s if you're lucky. So it's all based on these voyage cards. Now, that's why I think he is the most underrated character, James, because the luck of the draw.
Yeah, it's very much the luck of the draw.
Yeah. The first game I played with Sinbad was with your good self, and not one of these came out until the dying deaths of the game. And, of course, then they all started coming out, and I was suddenly building all these attacks, but, you know, the writing was on the wall. I couldn't recover from it. But short of that, James, I know you haven't played it, but if the drawing is on your side, would you not agree that deep down Sinbad could well be the hidden gem?
He could be the second best character.
The second best character?
The second best character.
Okay. I'm interested to know who you feel is the best character, but I'm going to randomly guess here.
I think you know which one I think is the one that most people think is the best character, because OP as all hell.
Well, see, this is the thing now. I think whoever you're playing against, that character is OP as hell.
Yes.
And that's what I love about the game. It's like, God damn it, James is playing King Arthur. It's OP as hell. God damn it, James is playing Sinbad. It's OP as hell.
I mean, there is that. I mean, a lot of these, I agree with most of the characters, the people who think are up at the top tier.
Yes.
And who think are OP as hell. I'm going to disagree with a lot of characters that people have essentially written off and gone, oh yeah, they're not very good. Like with most games, I immediately look at those kind of posts and go, you just don't know how to play them.
Yeah. I mean, one of those, keep going back to it, is Dr. Sattler.
Yeah, none of these characters are bad. Some of them are OP.
Yeah. Yes. One of them is indeed in this. I would argue that the next two could quite easily fall in that category.
Yes.
So I'll pick the next one, James. We're going to talk about the sweet and innocent Alice. Because, yeah, Alice and the Jabberwock.
Yeah.
King Arthur is in this box.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the violent Sinbad is in this box. Why is Alice more powerful, James? How is Alice more powerful?
So Alice's thing is she has the Jabberwock.
Yes.
You know, because who doesn't want a pseudo-demon as their sidekick? And two, her whole thing is she gets a token.
Yes.
You decide, it's a flippable token, and you decide at the start of the game which side you want it to start on.
Mm.
And you can either be big
Or small.
or small.
Yes.
Big adds 2 to the value of all her attack cards.
Yeah, which is pretty dirty.
Yeah, and small adds 1 to the value of all her defense cards.
You would think, though, that it's only +1, but actually, her defense cards are pretty damn good.
Yep.
So to add a +1 is tough.
Yep. And the thing is, once you have chosen, this is the downside, once you have chosen that starting location for the token, it only flips when a card tells you to flip it.
Yes.
So the other side of the coin for Alice is sometimes that token flips when you really don't want it to.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. And it's interesting because there are other characters within the game, a little spoiler because we haven't done that episode yet, but, the one that springs to mind is Jekyll and Hyde.
Yep.
Where you get to choose which side you want to be on at the start of your turn. Like you said, with Alice, that choice is removed from you and you have to play a card. I don't know I think there's some scheme cards in there which will allow you to change. But for the most part, from what I remember, it's perform an attack or a defense, and then your after combat effect is change size.
Yeah.
So yeah, sometimes you want her to be big so that you get that dirty +2 as she hits you with that massive sword.
Yep.
That she has. I love the miniature for this. It's one of my favourite miniatures in the entire game, if I'm honest.
Yeah, it's like, again, the characters kind of thing, because if we're honest, I've just had a flick through the deck. The Jabberwock, as you would expect, is actually the heavy hitter.
Yeah.
And Alice is quick.
Yes.
I mean, you said with Sinbad, you have to get those voyage cards out to get him to move quick. There are so many, there's a defense card here. I just saw it, where you play it, and then it's after combat is choose 2 different effects.
Yes.
Of 3. Draw 2 cards, recover 3 health. That's a big one for Alice. She has health recovery in her deck.
Yep.
Not all characters have that.
No.
And then place Alice in any other space.
Yeah, not just move Alice X amount of spaces, it's just
pick a spot on the board and put her there.
Yeah, which is filth. It is utter filth. Especially, I mean, is that a defense only card or is that an attack one as well?
It's a defense card, and it's a defense value of 2 or 3 if you're small.
Yeah.
You've got another one here, which is attack or defense, which is I'm late. It's after combat effect. Move Alice up to 5 spaces.
Which, again, filth. That's like 2 movements.
And change size.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Especially if you're in a multiplayer game.
Yeah.
And you've just been attacked and it's your turn next. You've just been attacked by, say, Sinbad. You've managed to defend that. You've done your after combat. And, oh, look, King Arthur is exactly 6 spaces away. So I'm going to move 5 spaces straight up to King Arthur. And then immediately on my next turn, I can now hit him twice. It is a very, very powerful character. I think I'm going to agree with you because I do think I know who you think is the most powerful character in this game. Well, and I think it's the next character.
It is the next character.
Who is the next character, James?
It is Medusa.
Oh, yes. Medusa and the Harpies. So, straight off the bat, James, 3 sidekicks.
Yep.
In this. Now, they're not very strong because they're like they're 1 health each, aren't they?
Yeah. It only takes 1 damage to kill them.
Yeah. But they're a menace because they just surround you all the time. And worst of all,
she can resurrect them.
She resurrects the damn thing. So it's like, oh yeah, I've killed all the Harpies. Oh, hang on a minute, they're all back. Oh, I've killed them again. Oh, hang on a minute, they're all back again. I hate facing Medusa. It's really weird though. I don't like playing as Medusa.
it's just one of those things where it's just. I would actually agree with that because in most cases she's just that OP. I mean, okay, first off, she's a ranged character.
Yeah, which is hard. That's a very hard thing.
Which is another one. She's the inverse of King Arthur because the main character is ranged and the secondary characters, of which there are 3 of them, are melee.
Yes.
Her special ability.
Yep.
At the start of your turn, you may deal 1 damage to 1 opposing fighter in Medusa's zone. Unblockable. It's just that character takes a damage.
Yeah. And all right, it's only 1 damage, but when you think about the way that you have to play, the object of the game is to destroy your opponent, to defeat your opponent. To do that, you have to remove the hero. Medusa is the hero. So the majority of these other characters, James, other than Merlin, they're all melee characters, which means you have to be next to her to be able to hit her. So now she's got you in her vice, because the second you enter her zone, she's ranged so she can damage you. You need to get next to her in order to hurt her.
Yep.
Which means you're in her zone at the start of her turn. She's going to do 1 damage unblockable straight away. She is a damn dirty character.
Oh, yeah. So, as an example, she's got scheme cards, a momentary glance, deal 2 damage to any 1 fighter in Medusa's zone. If they were already in the zone, that's 3 damage you've done straight off the bat with her special ability. There's that one which we will get to.
Yep.
Which is the reason she is so filth.
Yes.
Where's the other one? There. Winged Frenzy. Move each of your fighters up to 3 spaces. You may move them through spaces containing opposing fighters.
Which is something you can't usually do.
Yeah, and then return a defeated harpy to any space in Medusa's zone. So that's how she resurrects them. Yeah. She can basically ghost through other characters.
Yep.
And then there is the Filth card.
Yes. Now, this is an interesting card because I've seen a few people have played this wrong.
It's a catch you out card.
It is definitely a catch you out card because, James, you're attacking me.
Yep.
I'm defending. I'm playing Sinbad. So, James, you've played your attack card. What does your attack card do?
It is Gaze of Stone, Jason.
Yes.
And it does 2 damage.
Excellent. I've blocked with 1 damage.
Yep.
Fantastic. So I'm only taking 1 damage.
You've taken a damage.
Yeah.
Right.
Cool.
There is an after combat text on my card, Jason.
Okay, well, you won the combat, so you do it first.
If you won the combat, deal 8 damage to the opposing fighter.
I can't block that, James.
No, you can't.
That's dirty, James. That's filth. That is utter filth.
Yeah, and if it's... You usually... My tactic with that one is to play it in a round where I'm going to do 2 rounds of combat. Yes. Say you've charged at me and it's now my turn.
Yep.
And I'm going to attack you twice. That will be the second attack, because I will make you burn a defense card with a random card first.
Indeed, yes.
And then go,
because the likelihood is I'm going to try and defend with my most powerful defense card in that first round of combat.
Yeah.
Because the key thing there, though, James, is, like you said, it's a trickery card. Because if I had played a 2-block card, I had defended against the 2 standard attacks, which means I won the combat. Which means that second effect would not have happened.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the thing, James, because the card text is very clear, but a lot of people get this wrong. You only get to do that 8 damage if you won the combat. And the rules of the game is if I blocked all of the initial attack,
you win.
I win the game. Even if it was 2 for 2, that is still deemed as a defensive win.
Yes.
So for that card to be as dirty as it is, I have to have played a card that only blocks 1, which is where your premise of attacking first with a different card, especially if someone's only got 2 cards, the likelihood is they're not going to want to burn both. So you attack with, say, a 1 damage card, and they've blocked with a 4. Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
I'm going to attack you again. I haven't got anything to defend with. Cool, so it's 10.
But here is the reason why Medusa is so filth, and it is that card. And I will hold my hand up and say I have done this to someone before and felt very bad. Someone did it to me in the tournament we played at Expo.
Yeah.
They also felt very bad. If that card fires perfectly, because there is also that thing of someone might choose not to defend.
Yes.
In which case it is perfect because it does 10 damage. Alice only has a health of 13.
Yeah.
I have killed someone in the second round because they've charged me.
Yeah.
1 for being in the zone, 1 limited attack, which wasn't blocked, and then 10 damage.
Yeah.
And boom, you're out in the you're out in the second move.
Yeah. And it's all, again, I would argue that it does all come down to those amazing card draws and timing. Like you said, if they've charged you in that second round and have attacked you,
but it's a ranged,
they're low on cards.
It's a ranged attack. They don't even have to have charged me. They only have to have moved into the zone.
Yeah. Yeah. She is a damn dirty character.
Yeah.
Providing all of the stars align. But yeah, that's the key thing I would say with the game is she is an incredibly powerful character, but I think when it comes to that card,
there are 2 of them.
There's 2 of them in the game, which is not good. And the only real way to block it are with those feint cards.
Yes, because you cancel the card. I have had someone do that to me before, defend with a feint card. It was like,
yeah, and you just sort of at that point have to congratulate your opponent, going, if you hadn't have done that,
yeah, you'd be dead right now.
You'd be dead right now. So yeah, I mean the Harpies, James, they are a bit meh.
Yeah, they're blocking characters.
They are a nuisance more than an active character, really.
Yeah, whenever I played Medusa, my thing has been, like you said earlier, surround someone, basically stop them running out of Medusa's zone, because that you can just pick them off.
Yeah, exactly. And even if it does mean losing the Harpies because they're only 1 health, they're really, really good because at the end of the day, if you're forcing someone to attack them, you're burning one of their 2 actions.
Yeah, or defend against them.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, it's like that 2-pronged attack. It's like, I might attack you with the Harpies first, knowing that I've got that Gaze of Stone ready
Indeed.
For my second turn. It's like, oh yeah, I'll distract you by attacking you with a Harpy.
Yep.
Medusa, more often than not, people forget that Medusa is a ranged character.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that she's holding a whacking great bow.
Yeah. Indeed.
But she's not right next to them, so they don't think that she's in the combat.
Yeah.
So it's like, you charge a Harpy in and,
it's all right, I'm safe. She's
over there, and it's like, I've distracted you with the Harpy, and bang, goes the stone.
Yeah. Oh, ouch. Yeah. I would say, for me, bar King Arthur, I'd say everything in this set is pretty well balanced. I think King Arthur could have done with a little bit more work. Instantly, if there was a second Excalibur in there, I'd say he was instantly more balanced.
See, for me, it's not that, because there's only 1 Excalibur, but there are several cards which allow you to retrieve it from the discard pile.
Yeah.
So technically, that card can come out about 4 times.
Yeah.
My problem with, I think King Arthur is unbalanced for a different reason. Is like his whole thing is about boosting.
Yeah.
Yet his boost is rubbish.
It is a bit. Yeah. It is a little.
I think I flicked through it here. There isn't a higher boost. I think Excalibur is the highest boost, and it's a 3.
Yeah. Which really you want to be boosting Excalibur, not using it as the boost.
They're mostly 2s and 1s, so it's just kind of like
they're not great.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is a bit of an underwhelming character, and I think it could have done with some work, which is a shame because arguably King Arthur is one of the most well-known characters in this set. There's not many people around that don't know who King Arthur is. They all know about Excalibur. Talk to kids about Medusa, they're probably not going to know who it is. Talk to them about Alice in Wonderland, they probably will. King Arthur is probably one of the most well-known. Sinbad is by far the most unknown character in the set, unless you know where it's come from. But for you, James, how well balanced are the decks in this?
Yeah, I would say that in general. It's like, I do feel that King Arthur is the weak link in the box. But if played right, he's still competitive.
Yeah, I think for you, you're in the set of King Arthur and Sinbad are kind of a bit weak, whereas Alice and Medusa are carrying the set a little bit.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, it's all about King Arthur. Like he is the weak link of the set.
I can't really comment on Sinbad, like I said, because I've not actually played him yet. I played against him, but I've not played as him.
Yeah. When we're playing just this set, because we occasionally do that as a themed night, it was like, right, let's pick a set and we'll play characters from that. Sinbad is usually my first go-to because I enjoy playing him. I don't always win. In fact, he's probably one of my more I'm going to lose characters because, it is all down to that card draw. Whereas if you want a good chance of coming away with a V, you're going to go with Alice or Medusa, aren't you? I think Alice plays a bit more to my play style because she's quite vicious.
Yeah.
Deep down. But Medusa is that one that is a sadistic win.
Yes.
You're killing yourself. The opponent is killing themselves when you're playing Medusa.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, you can just walk her around the board. So they're always in the section. It's like, yep, that's one off.
Yeah.
Two off.
Again, depending on the board you're playing, it sometimes is stupidly easy to just stay away from everyone and yet still be in the same zone. And it's just like, I'm just going to pick you off one by one.
So I think my closing comment really is that if you're going up against Medusa, make sure you're on a 4-player board, which is double the size.
Yep.
Because on a 2-player board, you're always close.
I think there was one game we played. I can't remember if it was with me, you, and Ant, or me, you, and Paul, where I literally had all of you bunched in one little corner of the board.
Yeah.
Just stay away from her.
Yep. All cowering in one corner of the board, trying to get away.
Yeah.
So, see, that tactic falls apart with the later boards where they started introducing the trapdoor, the trapdoors where you could scheme out of the, through the trapdoor and get out the other side of the board or whatever. But yeah, James, we know that we recommend the game.
Yes.
Do you recommend this set, considering this was the very first ever set for this game?
Oh, I didn't realise that, but it's called Volume 1, so I probably should have realised that. Yes, because this was also the set I really... I know we technically played Jurassic Park first.
Mm-hmm.
I would technically count this as the first proper play of Unmatched.
This was genuinely the first set I ever played. Alice was the very first character I ever played in the Unmatched game, and it sold it to me. So I do think this game is very good. I think if you're new to gaming, I think it's also very good. It's a very simple game to play. I recommend it heavily. If you're going to play, don't play King Arthur. But, if you like King Arthur and you think you can make it work, go for it. But he's a very, very hard character to come away with a V. Whereas 2 of the characters in here, it's almost guaranteed. And Sinbad, if you're up for a challenge and you're up for pushing your luck with that deck, he's a real underrated character. One of my favourites. So there you go. Unmatched Volume 1 Battle of Legends. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed talking about it, James. Did we have a good episode?
Yes.
Good. Well, we've been talking for an hour, so I think it's time to go. Might have to play a game, James. They're out on the table. I want to play. Anyway, till next week, I have been Jason.
And I've been James.
And you have been listening to the Meeple Minded podcast. Join us next week for more tabletop gaming goodness. Ta-ta and goodbye.